There are moments in history when the world watches a myth die in real time. This is one of them. The date doesn't matter. The headline does. Cancel the transfer. We are not your ATM. 5 words. Delivered from London. Received in California. And with them, the final collapse of a prince who thought freedom had no price tag. Prince Harry, 6th in line to the British throne, veteran of Afghanistan, global icon of rebellion, is drowning. Not in scandal, not in tabloid gossip. In debt. $36 million deep. The emergency summit at Kensington Palace wasn't about reconciliation. It wasn't about family therapy or healing wounds. It was about money. Cold, brutal, unavoidable money. And Prince William didn't bring a checkbook. He brought a verdict. Rejected. The eviction notice wasn't just symbolic. It was arithmetic. Welcome back to the investigation. For years, the narrative was clean. 2 brothers. A bitter feud. Royal drama played out in primetime interviews and best-selling memoirs. But the feud has mutated. It's no longer about who said what at whose wedding. It's not about tears or tiaras or who gets the better palace apartment. It's about balance sheets. And balance sheets don't forgive. Montecito, the coastal California enclave where Harry and Meghan built their American dream, is now a war zone. Not of paparazzi, of creditors. Tyler Perry, the billionaire media mogul who once sheltered them like a fairy godfather, has allegedly severed ties. The private jets have stopped. The security detail has vanished. The benevolence has expired. Netflix, the streaming giant that was supposed to bankroll their post-royal existence, is reportedly demanding a refund. $20 million. Not as punishment, as contractual obligation. And Prince William, who controls access to royal funds, who manages a billion-dollar estate, who understands that legacy is built on solvency, has delivered an ultimatum. Sell the house. The American experiment is over. This investigation will expose 3 things the palace doesn't want you to see. First, the secret duchy audit that revealed just how deep the financial disaster runs. Second, the insurance catastrophe that arrived at 10 o'clock in the morning and triggered a cascade no amount of royal privilege could stop. Third, why Prince William, despite being Harry's brother, despite shared grief, despite public pressure, refuses to write a single check. Because this isn't about cruelty. It's about survival. The checkbook is closed, and it's not opening again. Let's go back to the moment everything shattered. It wasn't a bank foreclosure. It wasn't a lawsuit. It wasn't even a phone call from a furious producer. It was a delivery. 10 o'clock. Morning. Riven Rock Estate. Harry is waiting for confirmation of a wire transfer. Emergency liquidity. Just enough to buy time, to stabilize the bleeding, to keep the machinery running. Instead, he receives an envelope. Inside, a notice of non-renewal. His property insurance has been canceled. To most people, losing insurance is an inconvenience, a hassle, a bureaucratic annoyance you fix with a phone call. In California, in this market, for this property, it's a death sentence. The state is on fire, literally. Every summer, wildfires consume entire communities. Insurers are fleeing. The risk is too high. The payouts too catastrophic. The math too brutal. High-value estates in wildfire zones are becoming uninsurable, and Riven Rock sits directly in the crosshairs. Harry calls his financial advisors. Frantic, desperate, searching for options. They tell him what Prince William had warned him years earlier. You bought the wrong house. Here's what most people don't understand about mortgages on properties like this. The lender doesn't care if you make your monthly payment on time. They care about one thing above all else: continuous insurance coverage. Harry's mortgage is $9.5 million. It contains a clause most homeowners never read until it's too late. Insurance must be maintained 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If the policy lapses, even for a single day, the loan enters immediate default. The bank doesn't have to wait for a missed payment. They don't have to issue warnings. They don't have to negotiate. They can foreclose instantly. This isn't theory. This is contract law. And Harry just lost his insurance. Suddenly, he's fighting a war on 3 fronts. The lender is demanding proof of new coverage immediately, or the loan is in breach. Tyler Perry is demanding repayment of money Harry thought was a gift. It wasn't. The property market is turning hostile. Wealthy buyers are leaving California. Valuations are softening. The window to sell at a premium is closing. Forced place insurance, the kind banks impose when borrowers lose coverage, requires massive upfront liquidity. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. Harry doesn't have the cash. He has assets. He has deals. He has potential, but he doesn't have cash. So he makes the call. To London. Not to the king. Not yet. To William. The pitch is simple. A bridge loan. Temporary. Just enough to stabilize the insurance. To keep the bank at bay. To buy time for a dignified exit. He invokes the old names. Bank of Pa. Bank of Wills, the family safety net that always caught them before. William listens, and then he delivers a masterclass in financial brutality, disguised as tough love. William doesn't respond with sympathy. He responds with analysis. He tells Harry the truth no one else has been willing to say. The property is unsuitable, not because it's too expensive, not because it's in America, not because of optics, because it's a white elephant. Riven Rock was never a palace. It was a trap, industrial-level maintenance, wildfire insurance nightmares, climate zone incompatibility, water costs that would bankrupt a small municipality. William knows the term. A white elephant. A possession so costly to maintain that it destroys the owner. And Harry is being destroyed. But William isn't making this decision emotionally. He's making it arithmetically. William manages the Duchy of Cornwall, a billion-dollar portfolio of land, property, and investments that funds the Prince of Wales and his family. He understands the difference between an asset and a liability, and when he reviewed the Duchy audit, the confidential ledger that tracked every penny flowing toward Harry's situation, the numbers were terrifying. Let's start with the purchase. $14.65 million. Harry thought he was buying a palace, a fortress, a symbol of his independence. He was actually buying a black hole. But before we go deeper into the property itself, we need to address the Tyler Perry question. Why did a billionaire, who once sheltered Harry and Meghan without hesitation, suddenly demand his money back? What did William see in those ledgers that made Perry's exit so damning? Because the truth is darker than mortgage rates and property taxes. Riven Rock wasn't just any estate. It was previously owned by Sergei Grishin, a Russian oligarch whose story ended in scandal and whispers of a curse. The property sat on the market for years, stagnant, unwanted. Some said the land carried bad energy, dark history. William doesn't believe in curses. He believes in structural analysis, and when he examined Riven Rock, he found the real curse. Physics. 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms. Think about that. 16 bathrooms means 16 sets of plumbing, 16 potential failure points, 16 sources of leaks, breaks, water damage, mold. Every pipe is a liability. Every fixture is a time bomb. And California's water regulations make repairs exponentially more expensive than anywhere else. This isn't maintenance, it's hemorrhaging. Then there's the land. 7 acres. Manicured. Lush. Magazine-ready. In one of the most drought-prone regions on the planet. The water bills alone are staggering. Not thousands per month. Tens of thousands. To keep the estate looking like the fantasy it was sold as, Harry has to burn cash on irrigation that environmentalists would call reckless, and accountants would call suicidal. And then there are the taxes, over $200,000 per year, payable whether Netflix renews the deal or not, payable whether Spotify comes back or not, payable whether Harry writes another memoir or not. The tax bill doesn't care about your revenue stream, it only cares about the calendar. This is where William sees Harry's fundamental blind spot. Harry was raised in palaces where the bills were invisible, where maintenance happened overnight, orchestrated by staff he never met, paid for by systems he never questioned. He doesn't understand operational costs. To him, owning a house means living in it. To William, owning a house means feeding it. And Riven Rock is insatiable. William sees what Harry refuses to accept. The mortgage is a harsher master than the monarchy ever was. Because here's William's philosophy. The monarchy forgives. Protocol can be bent. Scandals fade. Public anger cools. Banks don't forgive. Miss a payment. Breach a covenant. Lose your insurance. The machine moves. Impersonal. Inevitable. William refuses the bailout not out of spite, but out of strategy. Because bailing Harry out now doesn't solve the problem. It just delays the collapse. And when the collapse comes, and it will be worse. But the real leak isn't the plumbing, it's the people. Tyler Perry was supposed to be a pillar, a godfather, a financial backstop. And the moment Perry walked away, the infrastructure began to crumble. Rewind to the beginning. Tyler Perry wasn't just a friend, he was a benefactor. Private jets, security teams, temporary housing. He played the role of savior when Harry and Meghan first fled to North America, hunted by paparazzi, desperate for safety. But somewhere along the way, friendship became subsidy. The truth that William uncovered, through the Duchy audit, through discreet inquiries, through financial forensics, was that Perry had been covering operational costs Harry couldn't afford, security expenses, staffing, infrastructure. Perry's generosity wasn't occasional, it was structural, and Harry mistook it for permanence. Here's the spending pattern that doomed everything. Perry paid for essentials. Harry and Meghan spent on optics, private jets for climate conferences, designer wardrobes for red carpets, PR agencies to craft narratives. They were living a billionaire lifestyle on a millionaire budget, and the gap was filled by someone else's checkbook. Let me pause here for a universal truth. Money changes friendships. It doesn't matter if you're royalty or working retail, if you're in Los Angeles or Lagos or London. The moment someone starts paying your bills, bills, the relationship shifts. Gratitude turns to expectation. Generosity turns to resentment. And eventually, the checkbook closes. Drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Let me know if you've ever seen this dynamic play out in your own life. Because what's happening in Montecito is happening everywhere, just with bigger numbers and better lawyers. The evidence of Perry's exit is everywhere. The security detail at Riven Rock was once elite. Former Secret Service, military-grade protocols. Now, local firms, cheaper contracts, visible downgrades. The financial freeze isn't speculation, it's observable. And when Harry finally made the call, when he invoked the family card, the Godfather bond, the shared history, Perry's response was ice. No extension, no grace period, no sentimentality. The bank of the Godfather was closed. William's verdict was cutting. Even a Hollywood billionaire won't back you anymore. So why should the Duchy? But Perry wasn't the only pillar holding up the Montecito dream. There was Netflix, the streaming giant that was supposed to fund the entire post-royal experiment, the platform that promised creative freedom, financial security, global reach. William understands what Harry doesn't. Revenue streams dry up, and when they do, the bills keep coming. Let's talk about the $20 million crisis. Harry and Meghan received a massive advance from Netflix. Life-changing money, independence money. But they made a catastrophic error. They treated it like a bonus. It wasn't. It was recoupable. In Hollywood accounting, an advance is a loan against future earnings. You get paid up front, but you owe delivery. If you don't deliver, they claw it back. Harry and Meghan didn't deliver. The output audit is damning. One docuseries. That's it. Projects like Pearl, the animated series that was supposed to showcase Meghan's creative vision, cancelled. The pipeline is empty. No scripts in development, no green lights, no momentum. And buried in the contract Harry's team either didn't read or didn't understand, is the clawback clause. Breach of deliverables triggers refund obligations. Netflix isn't suing out of malice. They're suing because the contract says they can. $20 million. Due on demand. This is what enraged William. Not the debt itself. The humiliation. Bill Simmons, one of the most influential voices in media, called them grifters on a public podcast. That word doesn't fade, it metastasizes. The brand shifted from victim to opportunist in a single news cycle, and public credibility, once lost, doesn't return. The narrative collapsed. They weren't brave truth-tellers. They were failed producers. So Harry makes one final plea. He asks William to quietly settle the Netflix debt, to use Duchy funds, to make it disappear. William's response is unequivocal. The Duchy is for the people, not for bailing out bad business deals. Because Netflix isn't a charity. They're a publicly traded company. Shareholders demand accountability. And when a deal goes bad, the cash flow freezes. No new contracts. No extensions. No favors. Now Harry is facing pressure from two directions. The bank wants insurance. Netflix wants their money back. The enemy isn't the tabloids anymore. It's actuarial math. William delivers his final directive. No bailout, no loans, no Duchy intervention. Sell the house. But selling isn't simple. A public sale signals failure. Desperation. The press would swarm. The narrative would solidify. Harry couldn't afford the dream. Reputation collapses faster than property values. So the strategy shifts to a pocket listing. Off-market, discreet, whispered to high-net-worth buyers through private channels. In real estate, pocket listings are used for two reasons: privacy or desperation. This is both. The clock is ticking. Harry has to liquidate before the lawsuits multiply, before the bank moves, before foreclosure becomes public record. Speed is survival. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, the freeze is total. WME, the talent agency representing Harry and Meghan, calls an emergency meeting. The message is blunt: you are becoming radioactive. In Hollywood, failure is unforgivable, not because of morality, because of ROI. No one wants to attach their name to a sinking brand. Socially, the isolation is complete. San Vicente Bungalows, the exclusive private club where deals are made and alliances are formed, becomes a minefield. Harry stops going, not because he's unwelcome, because he's afraid someone will ask him for money. Or worse, afraid they'll avoid asking, because they already know he doesn't have it. Debt is contagious in circles like this. The house will sell, but not to A-list buyers, not to celebrities looking for a Montecito retreat. It will sell to foreign investors, syndicates, buyers who see assets, not stories, people who don't care about the royal drama, just the numbers. And when the moving trucks arrive, they won't symbolize an upgrade. They'll symbolize an exit. One last attempt at dignity before the gates close for good. William's lesson is simple. You cannot escape economics. Leaving the royal family didn't grant financial immunity. It removed the safety net. This is where emotion meets philosophy. Freedom is intoxicating. Independence is seductive. But both are limited by one thing: money. The difference between a safety net and an eviction notice is nothing more than cash flow. Harry flew too close to the sun, and gravity is undefeated. So I'll ask you, Team William or Team Harry? Do you think the bailout should have happened? Or was William right to let the market run its course? Hit like if you're still watching. Subscribe if you want the next chapter. Comment with your verdict. Because this story isn't over. What comes next is nomadic royalty. No permanent home. No secured base. A security vacuum that makes protection nearly impossible. High-end homelessness. Luxury hotels. Short-term rentals, constant movement, each location a new risk, each address a potential leak. Security experts call this a nightmare scenario, and the palace's worst fear isn't financial, it's informational. Rumors of a sequel memoir, desperation-driven disclosures. When money runs out, secrets become currency. The doomsday scenarios are already being whispered. Reality TV, brand endorsements, royal status sold to the highest bidder. Everything they said they'd never do, everything desperation makes inevitable. King Charles is caught in an impossible position. Emotionally, he wants to help his son. Practically, he cannot subsidize a lifestyle the British public would never accept. The final severing is already happening. Harry and Meghan are no longer royals in America. They're celebrities without portfolio, fame without function. This isn't just about money, it's about dignity. William isn't acting as a brother, he's acting as a CEO. He's liquidating a non-performing asset and protecting the institution that will outlive them all. The final image is silence. After years of spectacle, interviews, documentaries, tell-all books, silence. The gates close, the exile begins. One last question for you. Do they return to London, humbled and broken? Or do they burn it all down in one final act of scorched earth retaliation? Drop your prediction below, because the next chapter is coming, and no one is ready for it.